I must be crazy, hallucinated. I'm living, breathing.
Welcome to another episode of the Curtis Zone, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Dylan J. Curtis, and I ask that you remember to hit the like and subscribe button for more content here on the Curtis Zone while we talk all things action-packed children's programming. As always, I always keep up my promises, and today I promise you guys that I give you an episode on the best moments of Pyrus Dragonoid, so I will be doing that today. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen, and as always, remember to hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you just want to make a request for a history of episode or any episode period, or if you just want to add or subtract something to this from this list, remember to get in the comment section down below or hit me up on my Instagram, my Facebook, anything like that, okay? I'll see you guys very soon. But right now, let's get started by talking about some news. Now, let's start with the news of the Supergirl trailer. The Supergirl trailer was outshined by Avengers Doomsday, which the trailer for Avengers Doomsday has been delayed for either January or Super Bowl Sunday. Nothing is set in stone of when, but it is looking like it's going to be one of those two dates. The Supergirl trailer, however, looks like it was amazing. We saw a lot of characters from the comic books, including Supergirl herself, who is being betrayed by, I'm not going to try and butcher her name because I don't know it, but it's looking like we are going to get a great Supergirl movie, and James Gunn is doing great so far with what's going on. Ladies and gentlemen, let's watch Supergirl together. Speaking of great upcoming movies, we have seen the trailer for basically a little bit of a sneak peek of the upcoming Street Fighter film, and the entire cast was on display at the Hall of Game Awards, where they presented a video game award, which was awesome to see. The trailer itself, it looks like we're getting very accurate costumes of all of the characters, including Colonel Guile and Bison, the whole 9 yards, ladies and gentlemen. And I personally cannot wait for October, so save the date, October 19th, when Street Fighter comes out. The final piece of news for all of you who grew up from the late 80s to early 90s, it has been reported that Steven Seagal will be returning to the world of action films by leading a new cast in a film that has not been spoiled yet, but the title is looking like it's going to be called Return of the Dragons. So yeah, I mean that's good news that's good news. I mean, good for him. Let's get started with this episode, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to hit the like and subscribe button. This is not a countdown whatsoever of the best ones. We're just going to talk about all of his most badass moments. And let's not be shy about what you think your favorite badass moment of Drago is. Really get in that comment section down below and tell me what your favorite is. Don't be shy. Let's get started, ladies and gentlemen, by talking about his first appearance. Now, the first of Drago's badass moments we're going to talk about is when he first arrived on Earth with Dan Cousteau. See, he and Dan had this bit of a new sibling type thing going, and Drago was not necessarily fond of him. But it was in the third episode where Drago really showed his power. You see, Drago really was going up against an Aqua Siege, and it was during the battle where Dan and Drago's teamwork really flourished and really showed how powerful that Drago is. See, he activated a gate card which gave him increased abilities and was able to break Aqua Siege's power card from him, which was so cool to see. It really showed what a great strategist Dan Cousteau is and how powerful Drago is as well. The next badass moment we're going to talk about is in the episode entitled The Combination Battle. See, what a combination battle is where four people will go up against each other. Two people on two separate teams going up against each other in a combination battle. In this combination battle, they activate something called the Cortex Battle, which is where four battlers battle each other of different attributes. And this really showed the teamwork between Runo, Dan, Drago, and Tigrera. This is pretty impressive because not a lot of people can work with teams. Not a lot of people in anime can work as teams. There are very few records of it. There are two more things in season 1 I want to talk about for Drago, and here's the first one. It's called Drago's on Fire. This is where Drago would evolve from a Pyrus Dragonoid to a Pyrus Delta Dragonoid. This is pretty impressive because I didn't even know that the Bakugan could evolve like that, could evolve like Pokemon. This is pretty cool. It was pretty cool to see it, and he gained even more power and new abilities, new gate cards. It was awesome to see it, and whoever says otherwise is wrong. The final thing I want to talk about of Drago's best abilities and best fights in Bakugan Battle Brawlers is in the final episode of Season 1 of Bakugan Battle Brawlers, when Drago would become Pyrus Infinity Dragonoid. This happened when Wyvern combined herself with Drago and the Infinity Core with Drago to become Pyrus Infinity Dragonoid. After this, he would defeat Naga, who was the main villain of Bakugan Battle Brawlers, and then he would eventually become the core of New Vestroia, the perfect core of New Vestroia. However, this did not last long. Next, we're going to talk about his appearance in Bakugan New Vestroia, when he would separate himself from the perfect core of New Vestroia, and eventually he would go back to Dan, and the two of them would go back to New Vestroia. This would lead to his first battle in New Vestroia, where he would take down two brawlers at once while not using an ability card or a gate card. He was just spun out. This one he would see his next evolution, Pyrus Spin Dragonoid. Yeah, there's that. The next badass moment from New Vestroia we're going to talk about is when Drago would be the first one to utilize a Bakugan trap known as Coin Scorpion. This was pretty impressive because the world of Bakugan stopped being just round and became even more powerful. Drago's abilities were amplified by Coin Scorpion, which helped Dan defeat both Gus and Spectra Phantom. It was pretty cool to see it, and I dare anybody to say otherwise. Speaking of Bakugan traps, the next badass one we're going to talk about is when Drago combined with a series of mechanical Bakugan to become the 7-in-1 Maxis Dragonoid. The 7-in-1 Maxis Dragonoid had the powers of all the attributes from fire, water, light, wind, earth, and darkness. It was pretty cool to see it because it was cool to see Drago not only at his peak of his condition, but also to have even more power. This was cool to see. Anybody who says otherwise, they're wrong. I mean, come on. This next moment we're going to talk about is from Bakugan Gundalian Invaders, when Drago would be the first one to utilize something called a mobile assault vehicle. And this was pretty impressive because this mobile assault vehicle looks like a giant flying motorcycle with all sorts of abilities that Dan activates with Drago, which makes Drago even more powerful. This was awesome, okay? I don't care what anybody says. This was awesome. This next moment is from Bakugan Gundalian Invaders as well. Not exactly a badass moment of Drago, but still pretty badass of his partner, Dan Kuso, when Dan was tricking the Gundalians. You see, in this episode, Princess Fabio was going up against two of Gundalian's top brawlers, but Dan was not doing anything, just standing behind her. They were wondering why this was happening, and it was found out that he and Shun had switched Bakugan in order to fool the Gundalians and get to the next shield, because the Gundalians wanted Drago, not Shun's Bakugan, which was pretty awesome. This next moment is from Magtanium Surge, when Drago would do something incredibly impressive. He would combine his power with Helios, and Helios would combine his power with Drago at the same time, and he would become known as Mercury Dragonoid, having the powers of both Darkus and Pyrus at the same time. This was pretty impressive to see because I've never seen a Bakugan wield two powers at once. I've only seen attribute changes, and this was not an attribute change. The final moment, the absolute last moment we're going to talk about Drago is when is in the episodes leading towards the final episode of Bakugan Magtanium Surge, when Drago will become Pyrus Fusion Dragonoid. The new look, the sleek look, the overall design of him was awesome and impressive. the power that he had was pretty cool, and he used this power to defeat the main villain of Bakugan Titanium Surge, which I'm not going to spoil for you. Wait for the episode on it. Okay? Thank you so much for joining me here on the Curtis Zone, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to get in that comment section down below and tell me your favorite moment of Pyrus Dragonoid, the moments that you think are so badass that it made Dragonoid as powerful as he is. And don't be shy, really get in on the conversation, everybody. I can't wait to see your comments. Remember to get in that comment section down below if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you just want to make a request for any episode. I'll get back to you guys. And next episode is going to be pretty cool. So let's wait out for that. I hope to see you guys very soon. Peace.